the sense in the world.
Coach Calhoun does it probably better than anybody.
Jerrod Calhoun, guy, 1A, 1B, 1C.
You know, Jerrod Calhoun's likely going to be the target for Cincinnati. Makes all the sense in the world.
Coach Calhoun does it probably better than anybody.
Jerrod Calhoun's the guy, 1A, 1B, 1C right now.
It just feels like it's going to happen.
Let me talk to you about Jerrod Calhoun. There's a lot of ties and there's a lot of reason for a lot of people to want him to be the next coach here at Cincinnati.
That's like why I'm excited. He just seems like a basketball coach, man.
You think Calhoun's going to Cincinnati?
Cincinnati could certainly be in play.
I love Calhoun.
Calhoun is the one, like, slam dunk.
Does anybody truly think it's not going to be Jerrod Calhoun?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special day here at the University of Cincinnati as we introduce UC's new men's basketball head coach, the reigning Mountain West Coach of the Year, Jerrod Calhoun. Here's a quick rundown of today's agenda. Athletic Director John Cunningham will share some remarks and introduce Coach Calhoun for a jersey presentation. After Jerrod speaks, Senior Associate AD Zach Stipe will call on reporters for questions. Please raise your hand and use a microphone. And then following the Q&A, Coach Calhoun will have some other media obligations, and John Cunningham will be available to answer your questions to the right of this stage. Finally, men's basketball alumni and former coaches are invited for a casual meet and greet in the Lexus Club at 2:30, and then a formal alumni event will take place in the coming weeks. Now let's get to our new head coach. Way back in 2003, I got to know a hard-working 22-year-old kid who was just beginning his coaching journey as a student assistant here at the University of Cincinnati. I think everyone and anyone who met Jerrod back then saw his work ethic, saw his love of basketball, and knew that he was going places. How cool is it that his coaching journey has come full circle and brought him back to his alma mater? Now, to formally introduce the 29th men's basketball head coach in UC basketball history, please welcome Athletic Director John Cunningham.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today. This is an exciting day for the University of Cincinnati, for Bearcat basketball, and this entire community. Before we get started, I do want to take a moment just to recognize and thank a few people. Coaching searches are never simple, and this one was not. They require diligence, alignment, and clear vision for the future. And I am especially grateful to Deputy ADs Brad Pike and John Daniel for your leadership, your commitment, the many hours they put into this process. I want to thank Lori Ross and Lauren Compton for their legal assistance throughout this process. And I also want to thank Zach Stipe and the media relations team, facilities team, our UCATS group, and everybody that's involved in putting this actual presser on. It's not easy to do in a very short period of time. Our staff work incredibly hard. I'm very proud of the staff that we have here at UC. I also want to thank Dr. Pinto, president of this university, our university board of trustees, and university leadership for their continued support of Cincinnati athletics. Their commitment to excellence in everything that we do in this very competitive Big 12 environment is felt every day. Today is about finding the right leader at the right time for this historic basketball program, this university, and this city. Someone who understands what Cincinnati is all about, someone who understands the pride, the edge, the expectations, and the responsibility of wearing the city's name across our chests. Jerrod Calhoun is coming home, back to the state of Ohio where he grew up, and back to the city of Cincinnati where his coaching career began under Coach Huggins. A graduate of this university, Coach Calhoun knows firsthand what it means to be a Bearcat. He understands the expectations that come with this job to connect this city and this fan base to this program. The competition in the Big 12, as we all know, is fierce. Night in and night out, we play against some of the best teams in the country, coached by some of the best coaches in the country. And to succeed in this league, you need more than just talent. You need an identity. You need discipline, and you need a competitive edge and a schematic advantage. That's exactly what Coach Calhoun brings to the table. But beyond systems and style, what stood out the most throughout our process of getting to know him is his ability to build a true program identity. Not just a team for a season, but a culture of long-term success. The expectations at the University of Cincinnati and our basketball program are high. They always have been, and they always will be. We expect to compete for Big 12 championships. We expect to compete nationally in the NCAA tournament. We expect to develop young men, to graduate young men, and prepare them for success in life. That's why today is important for our program. We have found a leader who fits Cincinnati, who understands it, who values it, and who is ready to fight for it every day. Coach Calhoun, we are thrilled to welcome you and your family, your wife Sarah, your children Jordan, Kennedy, Kendall, and Quinn, to the University of Cincinnati family. We are excited for what's ahead, and we are all ready to get to work. Coach Calhoun.
Thank you so much, John. I want to really thank Dr. Pinto. It was great meeting you. Really look forward to your leadership and spending some time with you in the next couple days. I want to thank our Board of Governors. You guys are the best. I thought this was the best process in my time in coaching. I want to start by thanking my family, the sacrifices that they've made throughout my crazy basketball journey. They're really sacrificing school here lately. We've been in Las Vegas, San Diego, Utah, and now Cincinnati in 9 days, and I think they've been to 1 day of school, so they're not looking forward to school. But they've been part of this journey and play a huge, huge part. I want to thank my agent, Brett Just. This would not have happened without his guidance. He's had the last 5 national championship coaches. There is no better agent in college basketball. I'd also like to thank Kevin Walsh that made the trip here today, Brett's number 2 guy with WME. My journey started right in this gym. The gym looked a heck of a lot different, I can tell you that. I'll never forget, coming from Cleveland State University as a player, we were getting ready for opening night, and it was a practice, and I was walking. I'm so confused by the gym, but I was walking with Coach Huggins, and I asked him, I said, Hugs, what's tomorrow going to look like? What's this crowd going to look like? I just got done playing. I'm a student assistant. I don't know anything. And he said, Jerrod, it'll be 13,176 people every night. They're here to see the Cincinnati Bearcats. It doesn't matter if we play Akron tomorrow. Our team is beloved by these fans. And, you know, that started my journey. And this has been an amazing basketball journey. And I really believe, I told Terry Nelson and I told Corey Blunt this today, I think the man above had this mapped out. Coming back here was in his plan. It started, you know, at Cincinnati, learning from Coach Huggins. I think the best college basketball coach of all time. The best practice coach I've ever seen. He empowered Andy Kennedy. He empowered Dan Peters. He just empowered you. He made you believe that you could do anything. Then it was on to Walsh University with Jeff Young, probably the greatest coach in Ohio that nobody talks about. Won a national championship there, and it was an incredible 3 years. From Walsh, went back with Coach Huggins at West Virginia. I met him at a Burger King in Youngstown, Ohio. He said, "You want a job?" I said, "Sure, Hugs, I'd love to work with you again." True story. So he says, "All right, I'm going to make you my director of basketball ops." So I went there for 4 years, was the director of basketball operations, and really learned how to run a program on a day-to-day basis. It was awesome. And then the opportunity to go to Fairmont State, a Division II school, took a $60,000 pay cut. We were going into the Big East. I wanted to be a Division II head coach. And once again, I turned to Hugs, and he said, "If you want to run your own program, you don't get too many opportunities. You probably need to do this." So I went down the road, and Paul Molinari joined me, Mantoris Robinson, and Joe Mazzulla, and off to the races. Press conference came. The next morning, we were supposed to have practice. I'll never forget this. And the stage was still set up. And I wanted to call Coach Huggins and tell him, "Can I come back? What did I just do? What kind of mistake did I just make?" But honestly, it was the greatest experience running your own program because nobody cared. Nobody watched. Nobody saw your mistakes. So you're able to really tinker with your offense and your defense. And it was incredible. We played for the national championship. And then off to Youngstown State, where I was hired by the guy by the name of Ron Strollo, just a tremendous AD, but I was guided by Jim Tressel, just a tremendous president. After we lost the Division II game, he recruited me to go to Youngstown State, and a lot of what we do program-wise and belief-wise was from Jim Tressel. The way he operated, the way he ran our university, it was just incredible. Was considered one of the worst Division I jobs in the country when we took it. And 7 years later, we had two of the best years back to back. And then it was off to Logan, Utah, a place that none of us knew about. Was hired by Diana Sabo, probably one of the greatest interviews I ever had. I got to meet the players. It was very unique. The players were involved in the process of hiring a new coach, and as I was selling my vision, I didn't want to leave. I said, "Wow, these kids really want to win. They're buying into what I'm talking about," and it was the greatest experience. But you know, all things kind of always led to Cincinnati. But the way we've built it at every stop, and especially the last 2 years at Utah State, and I was telling Terry Nelson this, we have a very unique system. We have a different style to play basketball. We're very precise on how we recruit, how we operate on a day-to-day basis. In the modern era of college basketball, I think you're seeing a lot of people just accumulate talent. We want to accumulate winners. And at Utah State, 2 years ago, we went to the NCAA tournament with $800,000. We were the lowest at-large team in America. This year, we went and spent $2.4 million on a roster, and we won a regular season title. We won a tournament title. We won a first-round NCAA game, and we took Arizona to the final 4 or 5 minutes. Not here to say we don't need money by any means. Okay, we need a lot of it, and that's for sure. But I think what it shows you is our ability to evaluate the right people. You have to have the right people. The University of Cincinnati deserves a winner in men's basketball. This city deserves to be rocking and rolling again. People need to fear us in the state of Ohio. It's the best basketball job in the state of Ohio, and I think it truly is. So why did I take Cincinnati? It's been a crazy 2 weeks, and that's why I credit Kevin and Brett helping me navigate this. Big part was John Cunningham. Big part was Brad Pike. Their vision, their energy, everything aligned with our family and wanting to get back to the great state of Ohio and put Cincinnati back on the map. But we had other options, there's no doubt about it. But I just kept thinking of Fifth Third Arena, the student section, the fans, all the friendships, and being so close to home. But John really, really sold it to me. And there was one other guy, he's out in Los Angeles, he's become a very big mentor of mine. Over the last couple years, he and I have really, really connected on a lot of things. Mick Cronin. Mick Cronin was tremendous. Seems like he's related to everybody in town, kind of like Hugs in West Virginia. These guys, no wonder they dominated so much. You know, just Mick's vision and Mick's desire to get this program back, and you're the right guy at the right time, your style will work there, was tremendous. I really look forward to seeing all the former players. I grew up idolizing Mel Levitt, Steve Logan, Ruben Patterson. Those are my guys from Cleveland, right? That means a lot to me. Eric Martin, Nick Van Exel, Kenyon Martin, Danny Fortson, Terry Nelson, the list goes on and on. Everybody in here, we all idolize these guys. They're going to play a big part of this. John Meeker, how can I forget Ace seeing there? One of the most popular Bearcats of all time, I could tell you that. We are going to develop a mentorship program. Our former players will be part of this. We will have a character class. Our players will understand what it means to put the Bearcat uniform on. That I can tell you. Because none of us are here without these players. And you see all these guys, and it's kind of very surreal to be up here today. I'll be honest with you. I'm very humbled, honored that Keyshawn and the guys are here. Had a great meeting with him last night. Look forward to growing with these current guys. And, you know, in about a week, it's going to be portal season. So you guys are going to hear a lot of the rumors and a lot of different things about our team. But one thing is going to be certain. When they put the Bearcat uniform on, they're going to make this city proud. They're going to reflect you guys, the fans. And we need to do this together. It's much bigger than a coach, one player. We all need to be moving in the right direction. So I look forward to meeting every one of you guys and women out here. Thank you for coming. We don't take this opportunity lightly. I told John and Brad that, and let's get to work.
Media, please raise your hands for questions and use the microphones. Chad?
Coach Chad Brendel, BearcatJournal.com. When you get to play a Big 12 team in the tournament, how much did you look at that Arizona game, or can you look back at it now and understand what the league's about, what the conference takes, and the challenges ahead?
Yeah, I mean, listen, every possession is a challenge in this league. The physicality, the coaching, it's a demanding basketball league. The first thing you have to do to have a successful team in this league is you got to have depth. If you don't have the depth, your kids are going to wear out. Basketball is a long season. We want to develop a great bench. That, to me, is going to be critical. We have to have 9 or 10, maybe 11 players in our rotation. I think what Tommy did was a little bit different. Obviously, every coach is going to build their roster. They're going to scheme differently, different brands of basketball, right? We have some unbelievable successful people in here today. There's a lot of different leaders. There's a lot of different styles to doing things. Our style on offense is going to be about find, create, and keep advantages. We want to find an advantage. We want to create it. We want to keep it. We want to create space for players. We want to play fast, but we want to play efficient. So seeing Tommy's team, he's very convicted in what he's doing with his size this year. I was really impressed with his front line. But every coach is going to coach a little bit different. You know, I think you have to figure out what makes you tick and what works for you. And we've had one of the best offenses in the country for a number of years. Nobody in the portal goes in there talking about defense. I could tell you that. So right then and there, we're one up on most of the teams in the country, because when they look at us, they see a very good brand of basketball where the ball goes in. But, you know, we got to see what we retain, what we'll get in the portal, but we're going to recruit to our system. We're not going to just accumulate talent.
Joe and then Scott.
Joe Danneman with Fox 19 here in Cincinnati. Jerrod, when John introduced you, he said one of the traits that stood out was your ability to build a true program identity. You've done this for a while now. What would you describe as your program identity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's family. I think it's a family atmosphere. You know, it starts with our players' families. I think on all the best teams, if you ask Coach Huggins about his Final Four team, the unsung heroes of that team were the parents. We had unbelievable parents. Same thing with the 92 team with Eric and Terry and those guys, right? So during the recruiting process, you have to do an unbelievable job in a very short period of time to make sure that the guys you're bringing in really fit to how you want to coach and how you want to run your program. So we're very simple. It's putting the team over me, so it's we over me. There's a million ways to do that, but we want to make sure every single day we are taking the steps in order to see that behavior, not only on the court, but in the classroom, you know, in this community, right? I think, you know, the most gratifying thing about all this, you know, we're landing in Cincinnati, and I'm getting texts from parents of players at Walsh and at Fairmont State and at Youngstown State. You know, none of us are taking these wins with us when we go, right? It's memories, it's relationships, and that's what this program will be built on. And I explained that to Terry, and I explained that to C. Blunt. Like, we got to have that on a daily basis.
Scott Springer, Cincinnati Enquirer. Sometimes when coaches move, they bring some players with them. Are any Aggies that might look good in black and red? And one other thing, what did it mean for that big fella in the red hat to come hug you before you came up here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, today, the way the transfer portal works, it's not open yet. So when the portal opens, we're going to recruit a ton of guys. You know, at 2:45 today, our journey will start, not only with the portal, but the most important guys are the guys in your program, right? The guys that are here right now have built-in advantages of playing in the Big 12. They understand what the Big 12 looks like, what the coaching styles are. So we're going to start with our current players because they're the most important guys. And then when the portal opens, we'll look at that. But you got to understand, a lot of players nowadays understand they're picking a program not only for the university, but for the coach, the relationship, the style. So Utah State is a top 30 job in America. It truly is. You know, it's a place that has an incredible student body, 3,800 students every night. So, you know, the players that are there will have to decide that. But I can tell you this, when we got the 9 seed, after winning 28 games in a regular season title and a tournament title, you know, that was pretty telling. You know, and I think the game has changed. I think college basketball has changed forever. We don't have one team outside of Iowa, which is a 9 seed, and they're a Big Ten school, right, in the Sweet 16. So I think kids will die to play at the University of Cincinnati. This is an incredible town with an incredible fan base, and I think we'll be able to attract some of the best players in the country, whether that's through the portal, high school, retaining our current guys. We have to look at everything.
Keegan Nickerson with the Bearcat Journal. When you go back to your early 20s and your playing career ends, what was the ultimate motivating factor that made you get into coaching, and what's kind of kept you in the profession?
Well, I knew I stunk. So when you're 6'3" and you stand in the corner, and I played for a legendary high school coach in Ted Kwasniak. Just a wonderful person. That's where my love of basketball really started. The way he ran our program, Mel Levitt can tell you, I think we have the second most state championships in the state of Ohio. That's where my love to really want to coach. But I was pretty realistic, and then I got with Coach Massimino at Cleveland State. And when I got here, guys like Andy Kennedy and the assistant coaches, the amount of knowledge you were able to gain, you just wanted to keep striving to move on and, continue to climb up the ladder.
Who's next? Mike and then Yanni.
Mike Petralia, CLNSCincy.com. Welcome, first of all, Jerrod. And secondly, what types of characteristics have you taken from not only Bob Huggins, but so many other coaches, and how will you apply them here in Cincinnati?
Yeah, Jeff Young, probably the best skill development guy I've ever seen. Andy Kennedy, I would say, was tremendous. I worked with him with the bigs, but just a great personality. Coach Huggins, I will say, is the best practice coach I've ever seen. If you look at his coaching tree right now, it's one of the most non-talked about coaching trees of all time. And, guys like Brad Underwood, Mick Cronin, Andy Kennedy, the list goes on and on. He empowered us to run stations. He empowered us to run a side of the ball. Joe Mazzulla has been instrumental, to be honest with you. He and I see the game similar offensively because of our relationship, and there's not a lot of coaches that run these types of offenses and that sort of thing. Coach Massimino, obviously the family atmosphere, the changing of the defenses, kind of what we did with Arizona, putting that pressure on them. That was Coach Huggins, that was Coach Massimino. Just so many lessons. I think you get better with time. Looking at those pictures, it's kind of depressing because I got gray hair and I'm, it's time flies. But as time goes on, I think you get better at every stop of the way. So just so many people have impacted, my journey.
Yanni, then Chad.
Yanni Tregellis with Local 12. A little bit of a nostalgia one here, Coach. If you can take yourself back to 2003, 2004, you're a student assistant with Hugs. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, when you're thinking about your coaching path, think, I'm going to be back here in the future?
I mean, you don't know where life's going to take you. You have to take a risk. I think my biggest risk of my career was leaving Coach Huggins and taking a Division II job. I don't know if anybody in the history of college basketball has done that. All these Power 4 guys that want to be head coaches, they don't really want to work at the Division II level, So I would say, you dream of it, but you don't stop working. At the end of the day, life's about getting on to the next chapter. As soon as all this hoopla ends, I'm going to go back to my hotel tonight with a headache because I'm going to have 1,000 things to do by 10 a.m. tomorrow, and coaching's hard. Coaching's very demanding. Coaching is 330 days out of the year. That's why, my kids have sacrificed a great deal, my wife. But they understand the way we run our program. We try to integrate everybody as much as we can by getting them on road trips and, those sorts of things. But to be back here at the University of Cincinnati, it's a dream come true, right? And as I said, without John Cunningham, Brad Pike, and Coach Cronin, I don't know if this happens. They really, really had a great vision.
You've built a coaching staff at the D2, low major, and mid-major levels. How much do you take from that going up to the high major level? How much is it the same? How much do you have to look at it a little different?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, when the rule passes, anybody that's on staff is going to be able to be on the floor. So the rules have changed. The game's changed. I think your organizational pieces, a couple guys on offense, right? We have 2 guys on offense, 2 guys on defense. We have a personnel guy. We have a, late game situations. The reality of it is most games are won in the last 2 minutes. I think we're 17-4 in the last 2 years under 2 possessions or whatever it is. You have to be able to execute late game. You have to have a plan. You have to, so those things are done in the offseason. Those decisions are made. Are you going to foul up 3 on the road or at home? Sideline out of bounds, 2 seconds, they're switching everything. What are you running? This staff is high level. They'll be high level. We're thinking we'll have 1 or 2 more positions. Have talked to a few people. Have about 1,000 text messages that everybody has a player and everybody can deliver this and that. I'm really big on relationships and trusting the people that have been around me and grooming young people up. So the way we do our freshmen up to seniors, we want it to be like the real world. We start a lot of our freshmen at a certain level, and we want to try to incrementally see those gains, not only on the court, but also financially. So everything's kind of strategically done. We have a plan, and I think I shared that with John and Brad, and I think they saw the plan, and I think we both kind of agreed that this is going to be a really good thing.
Scott, then JT.
There are GMs now in college basketball. Your relationship with Corey Evans and how that's going to work.
Yeah, so, I remember Corey when he was just, getting into scouting and starting off, and I was at Fairmont State, and me and Joe Mazzulla would see him on the road. And, Corey is a prime example of these young guys and like myself getting in the business and understanding the sky's the limit, right? If you put your head down, you work, you get better, you try to grow. College basketball's changed. And I think you need a general manager. I think you need somebody outside the coaching staff that can go negotiate those contracts. I think the general manager and the coach have to be on the same page. If you look at the Boston Celtics, the alignment with Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla, you wonder why they're right back in the hunt, right? So the relationship has to be not one way. I'm not a yes guy. I like confrontation every once in a while in a coaching meeting. But we have to be very aligned on the style of play we're going to play, and more importantly, the character of the player. We're not going to compromise talent over character. That ain't going to work. I can tell you that. And, if we can get to the NCAA tournament back-to-back years, doing it the way we are with the resources we had, now you add bigger resources, you get good evaluations, you implement the plan. We should not be just wanting to get in the NCAA tournament. We should be wanting to advance week by week and get back to a Final Four.
JT. JT Smith for the Front Office News. You've been gone for over 20 years. How impressed are you with the upgrade to the state, to the arena, to the campus, to the facilities, and what kind of advantage do you feel that will give you while you're trying to recruit?
Well, I can tell you this, after talking to Dr. Pinto, I know our enrollment was way different than when I went to school. I'm amazed. I didn't know where I was at last night half the time. I said to Brad and the people we were dealing with, I don't know where we're at. These buildings are all so new, it's so different. Everything has just changed, and it's a test to leadership. It's a test to Dr. Pinto, hearing his story, how much he loves this university and how long he's been here, and the dedication, and all of our loyal supporters. It really takes everybody to make something special. So I'm looking forward to taking a tour later this afternoon, seeing kind of, more, because this facility, I can tell you, we've played in almost every arena in America over the years. This arena is one of the, if not the best arena I've ever seen. I think it has an NBA feel with a college feel, the locker room, the lounge room. It's incredible. I mean, that locker room and the lounge room is top notch. The weight room is unbelievable. I mean, that weight room, the size, the ability to, just for men's basketball, so Cincinnati has invested and it's time for our donors to be rewarded. And I take that very serious.
Ryan.
Ryan Roberts with Bearcats Sports Hub. Coach, when it comes to transfer portal additions versus traditional high school development, how much of an emphasis do you put on both, and how does your recruiting footprint change being here at Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think it's going to rely on, really depend on, what our current guys do. Who wants to come back, who we decide to bring back, who makes sense in our system. You can't have 15 eligible players, I could tell you that. You're going to have problems. It's hard to play 11. So at the end of the day, you're not playing 15, so you need to develop 12, 13, 14, and 15. Whether 12's active or not, you have to make that decision. But we took 5 freshmen last year. It was the greatest thing we ever did. Our scout team was one of the best scout teams in the country. The youth and the energy every day from those freshmen was awesome. So we'll do it a little bit of each. I want to retain guys. I want to get some portal guys. And then eventually, once you get your feet under you, you should be adding about 4 to 5 portal guys a year. That's about it. So you start to develop, you start to retain, and next thing you know, you have a culture that you've kind of built. And, then the players hold each other accountable. And, that's what we had over the years. All our great teams, we had great player leadership. Obviously Coach Huggins was, the leader on the Final Four team at West Virginia, but there was many leaders on that team. Those players did a tremendous job, and Hugs kind of taught them that. Same thing at Utah State. We had great leadership amongst our players, the connectivity, the camaraderie. I've never seen nothing like it, to be honest with you. And that's what we have to build here. And it's about the evaluation of the person more than basketball.
We have time for 1 to 2 more
questions.
questions.
We're putting Quinn to sleep. My 7-year-old's ready to go to bed. She's tired.
Keegan, final question.
What was the difference this past season to produce a top 50 defense and efficiency?
I think, kind of what I alluded to a couple questions ago. I think you got to constantly change as a coach. You have to adapt. You have to grow. Some of the best people you can learn from are high school coaches. We have some incredible high school coaches in the state of Ohio. Some of the best. So I think as you try to build your program and you take the next steps, we asked ourselves, hey, where did we finish on offense and efficiency and defense? And we weren't happy. We were 149, I think, or 150. And it just ate at me all summer. And so we changed our recruiting philosophies, we changed our schemes, and just really put an emphasis on it. And if you look at, Cincinnati basketball, the best teams here, people feared us. People feared coming into Fifth Third Arena. You have to get the fear into your non-league opponents and your league opponents by really getting after them. One thing we'll do is we're going to steal the ball. We're one of the best teams in the country at stealing the basketball, which is leading to fast breaks, which is getting people out of the stands, whether you're shooting step-in threes or dunks. We want to have that style. But, now the next step is to get to top 30, and stay in the top 20 in offense, and now you got a special thing.
Thank you, Coach. Welcome back up, Dan Horde.
All right, thank you.
All right, for folks who are watching today on the live stream is going to continue. Terry Nelson and Chase Youts will continue the conversation about what today's news means for University of Cincinnati basketball going forward. We want to thank Coach Calhoun, Athletic Director John Cunningham, and President Pinto for being here today. We also want to really thank a man who won 935 games, went to 2 Final Fours, and earned his rightful spot in the National Basketball Hall of Fame. Please welcome back Bob Huggins. And one more reminder that former players and coaches are invited to the Lexus Club for an informal meet and greet. That will start right after some of the other media obligations that Jerrod has. It should get underway right around 2:30. Thank you again for being here today, and go Bearcats.
We'll have John Cunningham right over here.
See, I'm gonna get you next. I'm gonna get low first. I'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Well, you guys heard it here first, talking about the introductory press conference for Jerrod Calhoun here with Terry Nelson. I'm Chase Johnson. Terry, you had some time to talk to Coach Calhoun before we went on stage. What did you get to see from him?
I saw intentionality. I saw a fierce competitor that understood the culture of Cincinnati, understood the fabric that just really this is a different fan base. This is a fan base that is starving for relevance once again, one that has a proud history. He understood that. He touched on all the points. And as he was talking, you can see the fans were just shaking their head like, yes, I get it, I get it. And so from our interview we had with him for our Legends Unplugged podcast, he said a lot of stuff, and that will be released later. But for them to hear him talk and see the genuine concern for the welfare of the fans, and says, look, and the donors, you guys deserve to be paid back. You gave us the money. Now we're going to return, in turn, we're going to go back and give you a product you're going to be proud of.
Again, Calhoun talked about when he was at Utah State, $800,000 in his first year for the NIL program and trying to get players in the transfer portal. $2.4 million this year. Money is obviously going to be, well spent in the portal for Cincinnati. But what does that mean to be back here and get some better players, get some great players, and retain some really good players on this roster?
He's going to have a bigger roster. He's going to have a bigger budget to work with. And his system, what I like to hear, what he said is he's going to recruit for his system and not just accumulate talent. Because when you have a bunch of talent, you end up with a roster full of guys that do the same thing. And you don't need that. You need some variance. So you need some variance in what he's doing. And so he's going to go out with a bigger budget. He's going to look at the talent that he has around here. He's going to get into the portal, and it's going to be exciting style. He says he wants fear in this building for for non-conference opponents and opponents. This place will be rocking. I'm talking about, normally we let fans in here 90 minutes before the game. They're going to have to do something like 2 hours before the game, a little bit more time, have happy hours for fans to come in here and get lathered up. Make it tough to play in. Like back when I played, Memphis State was that way. You go into Big 12, it's Arizona, it's Houston. Those places are tough to play in. We want an environment when people say, we got Cincinnati next. We want a coach that understands that, and we want a coach that's going to do some great things.
Certainly a day that people in Cincinnati history will be able to remember. We're going to have Steve Logan and Terry Nelson have a one-on-one conversation right now. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming out, my brother. Oh, yeah, you got a chance to hear firsthand from Calhoun address the fans. What was your initial thoughts?
Well, I thought he did a great job. I mean, he's a world-renowned coach right now. This is a great opportunity for him. I think he addressed it to people well, answered all the questions, stood there. Even some of the tiring questions that they kept asking, he was there for it. He was full of energy. I think this is a great fit for the University of Cincinnati basketball for right now.
He mentioned you and Melvin Levitt and those guys. He said those Ruben Patterson, the Cleveland guys, are his guys. He said he grew up idolizing you guys. What's that like when the current coach says he knows who you are and he watched you?
That's awesome. I mean, just for him to remember us, some of the guys that was from Cleveland that was putting in work, Ruben, Melvin, myself, just he been around watching the game, playing the game. For him to say that is big time for us, and we just want to support him.
What was your thoughts when you heard him say that he wants fear to be put into opponents when they come in the Fifth Third Arena?
I mean, that's what we stood for. You know what I mean? The night before, 2 days before, you got to understand where you're coming. You're coming to play at Cincinnati. It's a whole lot of history here, a lot of great players here, coaches that was here. It's a great strategy to have fear here for teams to come here and say, hey, listen, who's in the stands? Corey Blunt's in the stands, Nick Van Exel, Steve Logan, Kenya Martin. I mean, that put fear in people when they come here and play us, man. And so I love to hear Coach Calhoun said that. That was very on point.
And lastly, he talked about getting the former players back involved, wants to get you guys involved in recruiting and getting guys, when they come into the building, they need to know who you are. They want to know. He says they're going to have a character class and a class that shows the former players, the current players, who the former players were and why it's important to know that.
Well, I'm all for it. I mean, this school, I love this school. This school showed me a lot of love, and I'm here to support my school. Whatever they ask me to do, I'm here to do, up to my ability. I would love to mentor some guys or recruit, whatever he asks me to do. It's basketball. It's a different side of the ball, but it's something that, I enjoy doing.
You heard it from my doppelganger right here, my man. Steve Logan, the All-American, the legend, one of the best to ever do it in Clifton. I appreciate him. He's on the radio. He looked kind of like me. My beard is not as long as his, but he's got great skin. He does what he does, man. I appreciate him. And, man, when you think about this young man, you think about what he did, and at the size that he did, he was one of the most feared guys. Nobody wanted to stick him because he wasn't going to outrun you, but he was so crafty with how he got to his spots that you couldn't stop him. And for him to know that the coach loves him and the coach grew up watching him and idolizing him, now he's back in the helm. He can't wait to get going.
Terry, you couldn't have said it much better than that. And just looking at some of the Hall of Fame endorsement, talking about Coach Huggins here, Jerrod Calhoun is, quote, one of the top young coaches in college basketball. He's earned everything he's gotten. Jerrod works, he connects with people, and he knows how to build a program. I've enjoyed watching his growth over the years. Cincinnati is getting a great coach. And Terry, Coach Huggins in the building, what does that mean to have him back for a guy that has been well endorsed like Jerrod Calhoun?
Yeah, I've been on the phone with Coach Hugs, and he loves him. He says the guy's a hard worker. He knows what he's doing, very meticulous. And that's one of the reasons why he asked him to come join his staff, because he likes guys that are just focused. He mentioned he has no hobbies. He has absolutely no hobbies, and he just loves getting in the thick of it, planning, coming up with different ways, looking at film, trying to find things. And so when Hugs comes here, Hugs doesn't just get out just to get out. He comes out with intentionality. So when he comes out and he sees this guy, when he sees something that he built here being taken over by somebody that helped him, it's like, okay, I can rock with this. I can rock with how he prepares himself. So when Hugs comes out here and gives us endorsement, I'm all for it.
Again, what does that mean for yourself and everybody else that has been around here that has played under Coach Huggins to see Calhoun come back and see some of the different ways and practices and teachings on that?
There's a way that we did things here under Bob Huggins and under Mick Cronin. toughness, tenacity, in-your-face style, not just from the coaching side, but from the player side. Like, defense was always in your face. It was pressure. Us coming back from deficits, if there were deficits, basically blowing teams out of the water and not just trying to hold on to win a game, but burying them. I'm talking about stumping them. There's no more Friday the 13th. Jason's not coming back for 13 more episodes. No, we're burying them, cutting the head off. We're doing all that stuff, and that's the kind of attitude that I want. And when you talk about Coach Calhoun, man, he checked all the boxes. And I'm telling you, the fans are going to love this guy because he's one of those guys. He says he wants to be at every UC event. He wants to be at the women's basketball, football, baseball. He talked about volleyball in our podcast. He is a guy that he says he has no hobbies. He only likes to be around sports. And so for have his family here to witness that, I know they're probably going to get back to Utah, finish out their school, but to have him here and have his family here, knowing that he is close from where he grew up, is going to be awesome.
Terry, he talked about how, the Lakers, Celtics, all this stuff. The Celtics is who they kind of model after a little bit. Obviously, Joe Mazzulla being a big person. You're from L.A. How does that make you feel?
Well, hey, if we can get some of the same Celtics stuff there, I can learn to agree with the Celtics a little bit. I'm a Lakers fan through and through. I breathe the purple and gold. But if he can take the same discipline, Joe Mazzulla is one of those guys that he looks like, an affectionate term, a basketball nerd. Walks with a pencil in his ear. He's got the little Bill Belichick cut-off sleeves, almost looking like he don't care about nothing else but getting in the gym and getting to work. If he can take that same mentality from the Celtics and that brass and what they do there and bring it here as far as offensive efficiency, we'll take it.
We're in an empty arena right now. Obviously, there's people in the stands and everything else. Imagining the first game of the season, opening night in 2026, just what are you envisioning? What are you hearing right now with this arena?
I'm seeing the fans getting in here early. I'm seeing signs in the stands, student sections sold out. DJ A-Train making everything go. I'm seeing all the boosters and donors. There's flyers all over the floor.
Wow.
I want to see that, there's giving you information, and just energy is just different. It's just different.
All right, we're going to have one more interview over here and take our way over. And Terry, take it away.
How you doing, bro?
Yep. So you got a chance?
Yeah, I do.
To hear what was going on. Tell me about what you like to hear.
Oh, I heard a good thing. I want Bearcat to be back. That I know Jerry more than everybody here. I can say it. When I was here, I was a freshman in Richard. I worked with him in the morning, afternoon, everywhere. He take me to all gym to get better. So he's the one in charge when I was a freshman, and Richard's freshman in Richard. So 2 years I work with him everywhere we go. I got 45 minutes to work out with him every day. So,
Suleiman, what have you been doing since your time, since you've been gone?
I coaches. Now I charge general manager for my country, and I work a lot with Coach Buzz Williams. Now he's in Maryland. That is my man too. Coach Bob is in and he was in Virginia, West Virginia too. I used to go there to watch him play and all that, so I have connection. And with Kennedy, Kennedy recruit me here. With I had a big man, me, Jason Maxwell, Rob Wiley, Eric.
You're naming all these. Do you have any players for us? That's what we're trying to say. Come on, man.
Oh, we got okay. My man is back, so probably I got something for you guys.
Yeah. I need some. I need a 7-foot point guard.
Yeah. I'm going to give you guys big man.
If you give us a big man and it pans out, then you don't have to pay for anything the rest of your life. You can come in here and make sure we're taking care of you.
Okay, thank you. So
I appreciate you.
Great to see you again.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Again, Terry, just talking about the journey for Coach Calhoun. I mean, starting here at Cincinnati, you go on ahead and he goes to Walsh up in the Canton area, was an assistant coach, won a national championship as an assistant coach, went to a Final Four with West Virginia under Bob Huggins and his staff. Fairmont State, Youngstown State, Utah State. Winning is in this guy's blood.
Everywhere he's been, he has been one of those guys that has taken programs to the next level. I'm talking about from from not just stat-wise, but when he leaves in the wake, there's championships, there's conference championships, there's deep runs in the tournament from whatever level it is. He has been fantastic.
So now we've got Corey Blunt stepping in.
Corey Blunt.
You take this mic here, Corey. I got you right there.
Oh, okay.
See, Blunt, you
all
heard
the
it.
time.
First of all, we were doing Legends Unplugged, and you heard a lot of stuff that he talked about.
Yep.
What was your initial thoughts?
The thing that impressed me most is he talked about culture. To me, that's the most important thing when you're trying to develop a team, is identifying and understanding what culture means. And he nailed that all the way through the conversation.
Yeah. So when he talks about he wants fear in this place from the other teams, whether it be non-conference or conference opponents, he wanted to where it was like back in the day where when people came in here, they had to put the hard hat on because they know it was going to be pressure from the team in every aspect, offensively, defensively, and from the fans. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the identity of our program is a Bearcat. We're not called the Kitty Cats. You know what I mean? So we want to be imposing.
So we ain't looking like this on your shirt?
This is my wife got this.
Don't try to blame Coco.
But that identity. We're Bearcats, so we want to be that fearsome creature that comes and shows fierce toughness and everything. And I think that's the identity of the program. Not saying it hadn't been here before, but you have to build that culture to be able to enforce that.
You one of the OGs of the program, played multiple years, over a decade in the NBA. How important is it when you hear about Coach saying that he wants the former players to come back and be a big part of this, including with mentorship?
Man, definitely important. I mean, I'm a culture guy. Every team that I've played on that had success was built off culture, and the only way you establish that is through working with the former players and letting them identify what it takes to be a part of this new culture that he's trying to define. And I think that's what he's trying to do, is just make sure that everybody's on board so we can pass on the knowledge we have to this new generation and these new players so they can understand the true value of what it takes to be a Bearcat.
You're walking around shaking the big money hands of the guys around here. I mean, everybody wants to take pictures with you and selfies. They understand your importance that you've been here. But as you shake those hands of those people that sit in those front rows and pay for the stuff that we walk in luxury in, when those guys are there, what are their thoughts about the new hire?
I think everybody's happy. I think we are looking for something different, a new change. We feel that we deserve to be an elite program and win a lot of games, and I think those donors feel that same way. That's probably why this move happened. So based on the conversation I'm having, man, everybody's very impressed and like where we're headed.
You think you're going to be a part of the group that helps get the former players back involved, to get them back connected?
I have to be. I think I'm one of the most recognizable players besides yourself to be walking around, and I'm 6'10", good looking, and got a lot of knowledge.
Still got that baby face.
Keep the magic shave on and all that. But no, seriously, I think that's going to be my role. I want to be a part of bringing everybody together, and just my love for Cincinnati and knowing that I am one of the guys that can do that and be one of the faces of it, man. I take that role and I take it serious.
1991, 35 years ago, me, you, Eric, and the Plymouth Sundance drove from California all the way down here to Clifton, and we changed the trajectory of a program that was already built on the backs of Lavertus Robinson Stokes, Lavertus Robinson, Lou Banks, Keith Starks. Yep. I mean, all these guys that were here, Herb Jones, the Blessings. Now we got all those guys that laid the foundation, and then we built upon that foundation. Do you feel like we're in good hands now to even erect something upon that foundation?
I do. I really do. I just talking to Jerrod and understanding his pedigree and his mind for the game of basketball, the way he's approaching this whole thing. And then, we did our research. We kind of studied his past and kind of seen his trajectory in the coaching realm. So I'm very impressed with where we're headed and where we have to go.
Legends Unplugged partner, my man.
My man.
C. Blunt's in the house.
All right.
Okay, we got Katrina Merriweather coming on over here.
All right. Here's Coach Merriweather.
She is the leader. She's the leader of the women's program. You got a chance to see the press conference. I believe this is your second press conference that you've been involved in?
Yes.
Okay. So what was your thoughts?
I want to think about Coach Calhoun and his message is just his care factor. And when you have someone that's been here and worked at UC, you just want to see it be successful. And that pours out of everything he's talking about, from culture to his X's and O's to his staff, but most importantly, how he's going to treat the players.
Coach, talk about the fact that Calhoun comes back as a former Bearcat. You're a former Bearcat as well. Just talk about what that really means going deep to the bone.
I think Cincinnati is such a special place that you have to really know the city. You have to have experienced a lot of the things that happen here and love everything that it brings, right? Whether it is the pro sports or it's the food or it's the, you talk about our fans and our student section, just all the things. And so to have someone here that understands and knows what that is, I think it gives him a head start, and I think it gives him a great advantage.
You know, we talk about one team here, and I know you used to attend some of the Bearcats men's practices, and you guys would share notes and steal some things. I look forward to the relationship that you'll have with Coach Calhoun and seeing if you guys can implement some things. Because one thing he said about you in our podcast, he said he can't wait to get to a women's game, a volleyball game, a football game. He says he has no hobbies. He wants to sit around there. Do you see yourself building that relationship with him?
I think so. And it's really important for the men's team and women's team to work cohesively, right? When you share an arena, and we've been fortunate that we've had that since we've been here. And so one of the first things that Calhoun says to me, he says, hey, I'm really easy to work with. And I say, hey, that's great, because we are too. So I'm looking forward to building that relationship. I know he has daughters, so we expect to see them at camp. We expect to see them at games. His wife was really excited.
And we're not comping those. He's paying.
That's right. Well, I say out of all those conversations, but I hope that we do see them, and I know that our team will continue to support them, and you're just going to see us be one team and one big family here, and I think that that's going to trickle down to all of our teams as we continue to build.
Coach, do you have any side notes or anything that you'd want to tell Coach Calhoun about coming into Cincinnati? I know you obviously know Cincinnati very well, but again,
it's been 20 years.
It's about 20 years. Okay, a lot can happen in that time frame, Terry. But again, is there anything that you would tell Coach Calhoun just as becoming a new coach on this campus?
Yeah, well, the first thing is if you do or do not like Skyline, it doesn't matter. You like Skyline. Okay, so that's the first. That's the first thing.
That's the first thing.
And the second thing, he's already figured out. This place has grown so much. It is not even remotely close to being the same campus. I came here and I was lost too. I couldn't tell which side the locker room was on anymore because the upgrades and just the growth in general. So when he takes this tour, I think that'll be the best thing he can do is get reacclimated into the university, because so much growth has happened over the last 20 years.
Before we get you out of here, I want to know a little bit about your team coming back.
Well, we're excited. We got what we're calling our Core 7. Everyone knows the portal opens here in a couple weeks, but we've been working on already. Our first workout was March 12th. For us, we've turned the page and from injuries, from youth even, and we are working on getting some cohesive energy, just things that when we go into the season next year, we have a good, strong foundation, and we're just looking forward to our freshmen coming in and our newcomers, and we're going to see the type of team we put together, but we're going to work really hard. It's going to be a lot of toughness and a lot of grit.
Appreciate you, Coach.
As always,
Coach came out here and did her thing. Next time, don't let that little bubblehead boy over there walk in front of the camera.
Bobblehead boy.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
You gotta.
Again, it's
I'm still a former player and a comedian, so yeah. If you're gonna step into the arena, you're gonna take some shots.
You've got some new things every time in the booth. It's always a good time with you, Terry. But again, wrapping things up here. I can't keep my composure after that one, Terry. But
I did see Kevin Johnson. I don't know where Kevin Johnson went.
I think he walked back over there, yeah. But again, Terry, final thoughts before we get on out of here.
Yeah.
Again, Coach Calhoun being the new Cincinnati Bearcats head coach. What a great day for the program.
This is a monumental day. You got a guy that understands the program, he says the right stuff. All I heard was strength and power coming from him. A guy who deeply understands who he is and what he likes to do. So when I look at his teams and I see how they prepare, when I see how they play on a string, this is a note. 2 years ago, he set the Utah State steals record with 283 steals, which surpassed it by 63. Last year, he had 299. He broke his own record. So when he talks about this is going to be a team that's built on stealing the ball and getting out in transition, it's going to be awesome.
So now we'll welcome in Coach Kevin Johnson.
My God.
We've seen him a couple of times before. What's going on?
Big Dom.
Okay, we get over here, man. We got one of the OGs now, one of the best defensive two guards. I always say between you and Troy Copain, man, y'all had one of the best backcourts he was. And seeing you heard Coach now, how excited are you for him?
I am, man. Very excited, man. To get a former Bearcat, somebody that's been around here, understand the culture, understand what we want to be about, it's a special thing. So just excited for our future.
And then Coach Calhoun talked about how he can learn a lot from high school coaches. What's one thing like trying to build a relationship? How's that going to try to be built going for the next 4 months or so?
Yeah, for me, man, you're always trying to find ways to develop your players. Obviously, as a high school coach currently, I'd love to see one of my guys in a Bearcat jersey. So just want to understand what the pedigree is, what he's looking for. Just not even from my program, but around our city. We got a lot of great talent. Would love to see a lot of these guys in Bearcats jerseys. So looking forward to ways I can help him being a former Bearcat and a current high school coach today.
Well, your program has money, so tell them guys to get on protein shakes, get in the weight room, get bigger and stronger. Yeah, they can't be slim like you. You know, you was in the passing lanes over there. No, they got to get big and strong for the Big 12.
I agree. And shout out to my players. You heard what Terry Nelson said. Get your butt in the weight room, get that protein powder, and lift all day, man. But we're excited to have you guys and appreciate you.
I'm glad you're back, my man.
Thank you, man.
Kevin Johnson,
Good seeing you,
one of the best two guards, one of the best defenders we've ever had in Clifton.
Again, talk to Kevin. It was a great time to see here. We actually have one more person to step on in here.
We got,
and that is
the
the
guy in
athletic
charge of it all.
director.
Come on over here, young man.
Mr. John Cunningham.
Good to see you, as always. How are you?
Cunningham, first of all, great hire. How'd that process start?
Yeah, I mean, you always have a list. I mean, obviously everybody does, and whether you're having a great year and you need a list, or you're not quite doing what you need to do and you need a list. So it starts with that. It starts with great people around me. Brad Pike was heavily involved. He oversees the basketball program for me. He was mentioned a couple times today. And so that's kind of how it starts, and you know, you're monitoring everything and monitoring the situation, the coaching carousel that happens, and talking to agents and all those things.
Talked about the, you know, what's happened over the last 48 hours or so when Coach Calhoun, you guys made the deal finalized, and then coming off the plane and having a conversation with him. How has that all kind of transpired?
Yeah, it happens really quick, and you need it to happen quick. You know, I mean, the transfer portal doesn't technically open until April 9th, I think, but you know, a lot of decisions are being made now, and you need someone in place to kind of prep for that portal period. So you don't have a lot of time, and you got to move. So I gave props today when I was up there talking about our general counsel office, but you need that legal backing and that legal support. And we have a great general counsel in Lori Ross and her team to help with that. And so really, again, I go back to great people around you to get these things accomplished.
You're the captain of this athletic department ship. We always talk about the coaches working hard and never getting the chance to get any sleep during the season, but you're trying to get this thing going. You've got football coming up. You've got basketball. Baseball's in the middle of a tremendous season, and then you're trying to hire a basketball coach in the process. What's your sleep patterns like during this time now?
Yeah, not good right now. I think I'll sleep well tonight, and trying to get away maybe for a little bit of a small vacation with my wife, and so that will be fun. We'll do that. But you know, I'm entering into my 7th year already, and you just kind of ride the wave, and you just know that certain times a year it's going to be more difficult than others, and then when you get a chance to take a break, you got to take a break and recharge. And so at some point here this spring I'll be able to do that, but I'll be watching baseball every day and love what that program's doing and what Quentin Coates. We have one of the best baseball players in the country right now, and Natilli and all those guys, and so I'll shift to that one and live and die by those games here coming up.
What does this hire mean to not just the basketball program, but the entire athletic whole of the University of Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, it's always important. I say, you know, outside of along with my executive team, my head coaches are vital in everything that we do. You know, 450 student athletes, and they derive everything from the direction of their head coach. And so getting those head coaches in place, the right people with the right character, and then the right approach to how they go about their business is really important. So this was a really good day to get this program, you know, regenerated and started up again and with a new direction.
You have raised money to upgrade facilities in just about every sport there is, which we appreciate, and you're responsible for pouring more resources into the ESPN broadcast. We have one of the best in the Big 12. I think we do have one of the best in the Big 12, our ESPN. So we thank you, our CCM students, and all the stuff that they do, the people that come together to try to make Cincinnati sports incredible to look at on ESPN+. I appreciate you.
Well, it means a lot, and I tout this all the time. I really do think that we have some of the best production around. And Chase is a student here, and all the student work that we get around these games and programs and productions, and all of your work. Trevor Toll, his group, doing a tremendous job. It's a great partnership with CCM, so it's exactly what we're trying to do on a university campus, and so really, really proud of that. And I think you guys do the best.
I appreciate that, especially when it comes time to negotiate. All right, I appreciate you. This is my man right here. Hey, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the fact that you listened to the fans and you kept everything quiet in-house and you did what you could to right the ship. And I think you hit the home run because this guy, Coach Calhoun, is going to be tremendous, not just for the Bearcat fans in the arena, but in the community, getting the high school coaches involved, gathering and just sort of galvanizing the entire area and saying Cincinnati is just not the Mecca, but we should be running the state and we should be a contender nationwide.
Well, we can't do it without our alumni, and I really think it starts with our alumni and our deep history, and then it goes to our donors and our supporters, so important, and then university leadership. And I do think Coach Calhoun's the man to bring it all together. And so he understands the role, he'll embrace the role, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch it.
Our athletic director, John Cunningham, thank you so much for your time.
My man. Yes, sir.
Again, Terry, I mean, a lot of people that we've talked to, a lot of people that we've discussed with, I mean, there's been a great endorsement for Coach Calhoun. I can't say enough about it.
He's you know what, when people come out and they tell the story for you and they love on you and there's so much excitement in the building that you want to get as many people describing this situation as you can.
I was going to stand up on the chair.
Yeah.
This is not fair.
Good TV.
This is a terrible look for me. It's a terrible look for me.
I mean, we have a chair right here if you want to.
Or the chair? What are you talking about? Okay.
All right, there we go. I feel a lot better now.
I just wondering if you were talking about, you trying to look like me. I'm just saying.
They're going to meme me on the internet standing between you.
We need a tape measure out here to see the official height on this.
Okay. You got a chance to hear the press conference, and you asked some questions. What are your thoughts on them initially?
Bearcat, right? Like, I think it's somebody that understands, that's been here. You know what he said? He said something that only a Bearcat will know. 13-176. And the minute he said it, it was like, this is going to play. The fan base is going to, he understands. He knows how important it is to this community to win basketball games and to be a relevant basketball program. I think it's a great start. I think he stepped on just the right notes today.
What have you seen from, behind the scenes, or even with just a lot of stuff that's gone on in the news and how you've covered this entire thing?
I've never seen anything like it. This is my, I believe, 8th between football and basketball. It's my 8th coaching search. I did not talk to anybody in the basketball world that said another name. Like, everybody. I talked to Danny Hurley, 2-time national championship head coach. What do you think? What are you hearing about the job, Jerrod Calhoun?
Yeah.
All right. Like everybody in the industry, straight up, Jerrod Calhoun's the guy for this job. There's not a second choice. There's not a 1B. There's go get Jerrod Calhoun. You have to give John Cunningham credit for getting it done and getting his guy, and for Jerrod Calhoun understanding how great this job is.
Halfway through the season, when there were starting to be ripples within the program, we were going through some losing streaks. Your podcast would be emailed to me that was on YouTube, and I couldn't respond to it, obviously, but I was watching them. And like January, you were talking about Calhoun. So you were one of the first ones that was pointing out, like, if we're going to right this ship, that if he's available, that's the guy we need to get.
It's a guy that has the DNA. It's a hugs guy. It's, as we found out today, Mick has been a big mentor for him over the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years. Is there any more Bearcat DNA than Bob Huggins and Mick Cronin? And it passes down through both of them to Jerrod. The more and more you dug into it, the more it made sense. The more it was like, okay, very rarely are these things linear. There's usually a lot of twists and turns and a lot of bumps in the road. But it was one of those things. He's the best guy on the market, and him and Josh Schertz, I think, were the 2 best coaches on the market that were going to be available. And one of the 2 best has a DNA bond to your program. It made sense then. It made sense now. and it got done. And that's like I said, that's a great thing for Cincinnati basketball.
Shout out your podcast.
We got lots of podcasts. We got podcasts. YouTube.com/Bearcat Journal. You can get all the shows there. BearcatJournal.com. 75% off for a full year of service right now. And maybe we'll get you. Haven't been on in a while. You got your own now, so I don't know if you
got to up your percentage. It can't be 75% off because I'm gonna need some of them percentages.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate you, man.
I'm a little intimidated now. I don't have anybody telling me. I lost my advantage.
I feel better.
Where's my man Dan Horde?
I mean, Dan's walking behind us, but again, talking to someone like Chad, it's very big. He knows a lot what's going on. Oh, he's hugging hugs. There we go. Okay.
You're hugging hugs. How about that?
Come on, man. Shoot. It's crazy to think.
It's something, but I'll tell you what, it's been awesome, though, to sit and look at the guys that come around here that are excited. People are still hanging around. Obviously Hugs is talking to people, but people they don't want to leave. It's one of those things where this is home to a lot of people, and you spend a lot of time, resources, and effort to come out and support these young men and women. And to see them come out, support the coach at a press conference, and then sort of hang around, want to take pictures, walking around, taking pictures on the wall, it's been awesome.
A couple of things about Coach Calhoun. He went to Villa Angela St. Joseph High School up in the Cleveland area. He averaged 19 points a game as a senior in high school. He knows a little thing or two about playing some good basketball. Also the school record in free throw percentage all time, something that the Bearcats, we got to look at that coming forward. The free throws, again, in big games. Coach Calhoun talked about how they were 17-4 over the last 2 years in games that were under 2 possessions while he was at Utah State, something what the Bearcats have seen themselves in a lot of. Being able to wrap things up in the big game. How about that?
Well, you got to have people that can close. And you got to have a coach with a philosophy. And one of the things I heard him say when he said Bob Huggins is the best practice coach he's ever been around, he said he took from that. He had 2 guys that control the defense, 2 guys that control the offense, and a coach for special situations, for in-game situations. I thought that was brilliant. I'm sitting over here. I'm hitting Steve Logan next to me. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, we got a guy that all he does is look at across the country, tons of video, and gets in the game situations. So when it comes to having, just like an NBA team, they call timeout and it's 0.5 to go, they got to play for that. Yep. And so you have that coach step into the huddle, and that coach is drawing up the play, and then your head coach comes behind him and say, okay, we're going to do this, we do that. What he's saying is, I empower my guys. He said, I don't like yes men. I like to be challenged every once in a while in the huddle. I thought that was fantastic.
Again, it goes back to a guy that he says himself, I have no hobbies. I like watching sports, and he has a lot of time to go back through and make sure that his basketball team is on the right page. I don't know if we're getting your broadcast partner, Dan Horde, or not. But
well, Hugs is kind of hard to pull away from.
That is very true. That's very true.
He's hard to pull away from. So I know, and Dan's very accommodating. Dan's one of those guys where I can talk to a guy and be looking all around the arena, and Dan is like, he's locked in eye to eye. Mm-hmm. He wants that personal connection and that personal contact, and you just don't get a chance to see Bob a lot. He's, he may be traveling, he may be doing other things. So when you do get a chance to lock in and have conversations with him, it's got to be genuine.
Well, it looks like we won't have Dan on, but you had Dan on your podcast on UC Legends Unplugged. If you guys want to go watch that, go take a look at that great episode that Terry had. With that being said, we're going to wrap things up here. Terry Nelson, my man as always, Chase Yance. We'll see you guys next time. The Calhoun era
You did fantastic, young
is
man.
underway.